10 easy changes that will dramatically improve your cat's life. I am about to share a statistic that might catch you off guard. While the typical indoor feline has a life expectancy of 12 to 18 years, cats that receive targeted environmental enrichment and proactive care frequently thrive well into their 20s. We are effectively talking about gifting your cherished companion an additional 7 to 10 years of high-quality life. And here is the best part. One of the most powerful modifications I'm going to reveal today costs $0, requires under 2 minutes of your day, and fixes a problem you've likely never even considered. But we will get to that shortly. Welcome back to Meow Range, our intimate, podcast-style corner of the internet, where we explore captivating trivia, touching narratives, and unexpected wisdom about our favorite felines. Consider this your weekly coffee date with a fellow cat enthusiast who has done the heavy lifting for you. Combing through academic journals, consulting veterinary experts, and speaking with behavioral therapists. The goal is simple: to help you provide your cat with a life of absolute luxury without the overwhelm. Now, before we jump in, I have a small favor to ask you. If you truly adore your cat and strive to be the ultimate guardian you can possibly be, please hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. I am not asking for my own vanity or for the algorithm's sake. I am asking because there are millions of cat guardians out there who have no idea that simple, effortless changes could add years to their pet's lifespan and dramatically boost their quality of life right immediately. By subscribing and liking, you are helping push this vital information to the people whose cats really need it. You are quite literally helping to save and enhance feline lives. So go ahead, I'll wait a second. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, hopefully with your kitty curled up nearby, and let's discover how small tweaks can revolutionize your cat's entire world and add years of joy, health, and happiness to their life. Why your cat might be silently suffering from chronic dehydration. Let me begin with a realization that completely overhauled how I look after my own cats. And it's going to sound almost too simple. Water. Yes, water. But not just any water situation. We are talking about a complete hydration revolution in your home. Here is what most people don't realize. Cats have an incredibly low thirst drive. This isn't a quirk or a personality trait. It is biology. Cats evolved in the desert regions of the Middle East, where their ancestors obtained nearly all their hydration from the prey they consumed. A mouse is about 70% water, and wild cats rarely needed to seek out additional water sources. Fast forward to today, and our domestic cats still carry this same evolutionary programming. They simply don't feel thirsty the way dogs or humans do, which means the vast majority of indoor cats live in a state of chronic, low-level dehydration. And you probably had no idea. This chronic dehydration isn't just uncomfortable. It is a silent contributor to some of the most common and serious health issues in cats: kidney disease, urinary tract infections, and bladder stones. I learned this the hard way when my own cat, Luna, developed a urinary blockage at just 4 years old. The emergency vet bill was over $2,000, and watching her in pain was heartbreaking. The vet asked me a simple question: "How many water bowls do you have and where are they?" I had one next to her food bowl. That's when everything changed. Here is what the research shows, and this comes from veterinary nutritionists at UC Davis. Cats instinctively avoid drinking water that's located near their food. In the wild, prey animals often contaminate water sources, so cats evolved to seek water far from their kill sites. When we place their water bowl right next to their food, we are going against millions of years of instinct. They'll drink from it if they're desperate, but not nearly enough to maintain optimal hydration. The solution is beautifully simple. Create multiple water stations throughout your home. And I mean multiple, not 2, not 3. Think 5 to 7 stations, especially if you have a multi-level home. Place them in different rooms, away from food bowls and litter boxes. Use ceramic or glass bowls because plastic can retain odors that put cats off, and many cats are sensitive to this. Some cats prefer wide, shallow bowls because they don't like their whiskers touching the sides. Yes, cats are that particular. And respecting these preferences matters enormously. After implementing this with Luna, the transformation was remarkable. Within 2 weeks, I noticed she was drinking significantly more. Her urine became less concentrated. You could actually tell by the color and the reduced odor. She became more energetic. Her coat got shinier. And we haven't had a single urinary issue in the 6 years since. Her annual blood work shows perfect kidney values, and my vet specifically commented on how well hydrated she is. This one change likely added years to her life. But here is what really matters. You can implement this today, right now. Walk around your home and identify 5 to 7 spots where you can place water bowls. Make sure they're away from food and litter areas. Fill them with fresh water. That's it. This costs you maybe $20 if you need to buy a few extra bowls and less than 5 minutes to set up. The impact? Potentially life-saving. The three-dimensional world your cat is desperate for. Now, let's talk about something that might completely change how you see your home. Cats don't experience space the way we do. We are ground-dwelling creatures. We think in terms of square footage. How much floor space do we have? Cats are arboreal by nature. They think in cubic footage. They need vertical space just as much as, if not more than, horizontal space. I want you to imagine your living room from your cat's perspective right now. If they can only walk on the floor and maybe jump on the couch, they're experiencing maybe 20% of the available space in that room. The remaining 80%, all that vertical real estate on walls, shelves, tops of cabinets, is completely wasted. It's like living in a studio apartment when you could be living in a 3-story house. Here is what the research tells us, and this comes from applied animal behaviorists. Cats who lack vertical territory show significantly higher stress levels, more behavioral problems, and increased aggression, especially in multi-cat households. When cats can't claim vertical territory, they feel constantly vulnerable. They have no high ground to retreat to, no vantage points to survey their domain, no escape routes from perceived threats. This creates chronic low-level stress that manifests in all sorts of ways. Inappropriate urination, destructive scratching, nocturnal hyperactivity, even aggression toward family members. Think about cats in their natural state. They climb trees to escape predators, to hunt birds, to rest safely while surveying their territory. Height equals safety in the feline brain. When we create flat, ground-level environments, we are essentially keeping our cats in a constant state of alert because they never have that elevated sanctuary where they can truly relax. The solution is what I call creating feline highways, vertical pathways and resting spots at various heights throughout your home. This doesn't have to mean expensive cat trees, though those certainly work. Wall-mounted shelves arranged like stairs, secure bookcases they can climb, even clearing off the tops of cabinets and making them accessible can work beautifully. One of my clients installed a series of floating shelves that zigzagged up her living room wall for under $60, and her previously anxious cat became a different animal, literally. He went from hiding under the bed most of the day to confidently surveying his kingdom from his new purchase. The behavioral transformation, when you add vertical space, is often dramatic and quick. Cats become more confident, less reactive, more playful. In multi-cat homes, it can completely eliminate territorial conflicts because cats can pass each other at different levels. One on the ground, one elevated, without the confrontation that happens when they meet at ground level. It's like adding extra lanes to a highway. But something remarkable happened when I first learned about this. The invisible world that's overwhelming your cat. I started noticing something remarkable about cats who live in enriched vertical environments. They don't just become more confident and less stressed. They become more receptive to everything else you do for them. It's like the vertical space unlocks a calmer, more secure version of your cat that's actually ready to thrive emotionally and mentally. Because here is what most cat owners completely miss. Your cat is living in a sensory world that's almost incomprehensible to us. While we navigate life primarily through sight and sound, your cat is experiencing an intricate universe of sense that you are entirely unaware of. Your cat has approximately 200 million scent receptors in their nose. You have about 5 million. That means your cat's sense of smell is roughly 40 times more sensitive than yours. Every surface in your home, every product you use, all of it creates a complex scent landscape that your cat navigates constantly. I discovered this with my cat Oliver when I switched to a new lavender fresh floor cleaner. Within 2 days, Oliver stopped using his favorite sleeping spot and started hiding more. I was baffled until my veterinarian friend identified the problem. The strong lavender scent. To me, it was pleasant. To Oliver, it was overwhelming and stressful. Here is what the science shows. Cats use scent to create familiarity and security in their environment. When we introduce strong, artificial fragrances, Cleaning products, air fresheners, scented candles. We are essentially erasing their scent markers and replacing them with chemical smells that trigger stress responses. A study published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery found that cats exposed to certain essential oils and artificial fragrances showed elevated cortisol levels. The solution is simple. Create scent sanctuaries, areas where artificial fragrances are minimized. Switch to unscented cleaning products, especially in areas where your cat spends most time. Your home might smell a little less like ocean breeze, but your cat will be demonstrably calmer. While removing stressful scents, you can introduce ones that many cats find calming. Fresh catnip, valerian root, silver vine, and synthetic feline pheromones, products like Feliway, which mimic the facial pheromones cats deposit when they rub their cheeks on objects. Multiple studies show these can reduce stress-related behaviors by up to 30%. After I eliminated the lavender cleaner and introduced a pheromone diffuser, Oliver returned to his sunny spot within a week. The inappropriate urination stopped completely, the one thing your cat craves more than food. But even with perfect scent environment and vertical space, there's something else that affects your cat's emotional well-being more than almost anything else. And most modern cat owners get this completely wrong. Cats are creatures of extraordinary routine. They are neurologically wired to find comfort and well-being in predictability. In the wild, cats follow the same hunting routes, return to the same resting spots, and maintain remarkably consistent daily patterns. When we create unpredictable environments, feeding at random times, playing sporadically, coming home at wildly different hours, we are creating low-level anxiety in our cats. A study from the University of Lincoln found that cats living in homes with inconsistent daily routines showed significantly higher stress markers and more behavioral problems. Here is what transformed my relationship with my cats. I created a routine so consistent that my cats could essentially tell time by it. Breakfast at 7 a.m., evening play session at 7 p.m., dinner at 8 p.m. weekend or weekday. The cat schedule remains sacred. Within 3 weeks of implementing consistent routines, dramatic changes appeared. The 3 a.m. yowling stopped because they knew breakfast was coming at 7. The aggressive play biting decreased because they anticipated their structured playtime. Their digestive systems regulated. No more occasional vomiting from eating too fast out of uncertainty. The most profound change was in their sense of security. You could see it in how they rested, deeper, more relaxed sleep. How they interacted with visitors, less hiding, more confidence. The 15 minutes that changes everything. And this brings us to something most cat owners think they're doing, but are actually getting completely wrong. Play. Interactive play. Here is a fact that stopped me in my tracks. 15 minutes of intense interactive play is more beneficial for your cat than 2 hours of having toys scattered around. Why? Because cats aren't self-entertainers. They're hunters who need the sequence of stalk, chase, pounce, capture, and the satisfaction of killing their prey. Those toy mice scattered across your floor, the battery-operated ball, they might provide momentary distraction, but they don't fulfill the deep, instinctual need for actual hunting behavior. And when that need goes unfulfilled, it manifests in all the behaviors we label as problems. Nocturnal hyperactivity, attacking ankles, aggressive play, destructive behavior, even obesity. Real interactive play means you become the prey. You move that wand toy like an injured bird trying to escape. Quick movements, then pause, then sudden escape attempt. You hide it behind furniture and let your cat stalk it. You let them capture it successfully. Then you start the sequence again. 10 to 15 minutes of focused engagement, ideally twice a day, especially in the evening before their last meal. The transformation is often visible within days. The midnight zoom eyes disappear because your cat has actually exercised their hunting instincts. The aggressive behavior redirects into appropriate play. Weight issues start resolving. The paradox of feline affection. But here is something that goes against everything we assume. Your cat needs solitude, real, quality, undisturbed alone time. We think more interaction equals happier cat. So we seek them out, pet them, talk to them. And with every well-intentioned interaction, we might actually be creating stress. Cats sleep 12 to 16 hours a day. They need deep REM sleep to process experiences and maintain neurological health. And deep sleep only happens when a cat feels completely safe and undisturbed. Every time we interrupt their rest, even gently, we're preventing them from reaching that restorative deep sleep stage. The solution is creating sacred quiet zones, spaces where your cat can retreat and be completely off limits to interaction. A cozy box in a closet, a cat bed on top of a wardrobe. And when your cat is in these spaces, you leave them alone completely. What's fascinating is that cats who have reliable, respected, quiet time actually become more social and affectionate during their interactive periods. One of my cats, Stella, used to be grumpy affectionate. She'd seek attention, but then swat at you within minutes. Once I respected her quiet zones, she became genuinely cuddly during her social times because the interaction was entirely on her terms. The 2-minute ritual that could save your cat's life. But what I'm about to share next might be the most important thing in this entire conversation. Something that could literally save your cat's life. And it has nothing to do with fancy products or complicated routines. Here is what makes cats simultaneously the most fascinating and the most frustrating companions. They are absolute masters at hiding pain, discomfort, and illness. And I mean masters. While your dog will limp dramatically if they have a thorn in their paw, your cat could have a tumor the size of a golf ball and still act completely normal until they literally can't anymore. This isn't stubbornness or bravery. It's pure survival instinct. In the wild, showing weakness makes you prey. A limping cat is a dead cat. So evolution hardwired them to mask every symptom, every discomfort, every warning sign until the problem becomes so severe that they physically cannot hide it anymore. And by that point, treatment becomes exponentially more difficult, more expensive, and often less effective. I learned this the hardest way possible with my cat, Jasper. He was 8 years old, active, eating normally, using his litter box, playing. Everything seemed perfectly fine. Then one morning, he didn't come for breakfast. I found him hiding under the bed, and when I pulled him out, he felt different, lighter somehow. I rushed him to the emergency vet. The diagnosis? Advanced kidney disease. His kidney function was at less than 25%. The vet looked at me and said, "This didn't happen overnight. This has been progressing for months, maybe over a year." I was devastated. How did I miss it? The vet explained that cats compensate incredibly well for declining kidney function. By the time they show obvious symptoms, the not eating, the hiding, the lethargy, the damage is already catastrophic. But here's what haunts me. There were signs, subtle ones. He was drinking slightly more water. His coat wasn't quite as glossy. He hesitated occasionally before jumping onto the couch. But I didn't notice because I wasn't looking with intention. That experience completely changed how I interact with my cats. I developed what I call the daily health ritual, and it takes exactly 2 minutes. Not 2 minutes of clinical examination that stresses them out. 2 minutes of intentional observation woven into our normal interaction. Here's how it works. During your normal daily interaction, morning pets, evening cuddle session, whenever you naturally touch your cat, you pay attention with purpose. You're checking their eyes. Are they bright and clear, or is there discharge or cloudiness? You're feeling their body during petting. Are there any fresh bumps, tender spots, or shifts in their muscle density? You are evaluating their self-care habits. Is their fur sleek and tidy, or are there patches they are ignoring? You are analyzing their locomotion. Do they leap onto their preferred perches with that same bold assurance? Or do you detect a hint of reluctance? You are monitoring their litter box routine, not with obsession, but by noticing if you are suddenly removing smaller deposits, larger clumps, or seeing an increase in frequency. You are observing their dining mechanics. Are they chewing exclusively on one side, letting kibble fall, or consuming food at a slower pace? And here is the essential component. You record these shifts, not daily, but whenever a deviation occurs. I maintain a basic log on my smartphone. March 15th, Luna drinking more heavily than normal. April 1st, intake still high, appears thirstier. By April 10th, I had her in the exam room, and we identified early-stage renal disease while her kidney function remained at 70%. Through dietary adjustments and careful observation, she is flourishing 4 years later. This 2-minute daily practice isn't about fostering paranoia or turning every cuddle into a clinical inspection. It is about maintaining presence and intention. And it provides you with something priceless, baseline data. You understand what constitutes normal for your specific cat, so when a variable shifts, you spot it instantly. The data is sobering. According to veterinary literature, cats who get early treatment for chronic ailments live, on average, 3 to 5 years longer than those whose conditions are identified in the late stages. 3 to 5 years. That is potentially 25% of their total existence just from paying attention. The dietary overhaul. However, identifying health issues early is only 50% of the formula. The remaining half is preventing them from occurring at all. And nothing exerts a greater influence on your cat's longevity than how and what you feed them. Here is a statement that might sound contentious, yet it is supported by vast research. Free feeding your cat, leaving a bowl full all day for grazing, is one of the most detrimental things you can do for their vitality. Over 60% of household cats are overweight or obese. And feline obesity is not merely a cosmetic concern. It is a direct highway to diabetes, osteoarthritis, liver failure, and a truncated life. But this isn't solely about weight. Cats are obligate carnivores and natural predators designed to consume multiple tiny meals throughout the day, roughly 8 to 12 small prey animals in the wild. A single mouse offers about 30 calories. In nature, cats are perpetually hunting, perpetually working for sustenance. What is our approach? We fill a dish with calorie-dense dry food and walk away. From your cat's vantage point, it is like hitting the jackpot without buying a ticket. Unlimited resources, zero exertion. And just like humans, when resources are boundless and effort is zero, issues arise. The remedy isn't complex, but it demands a shift in mindset. Food becomes an instrument for enrichment, not merely fuel. Instead of a buffet, you provide scheduled feedings 2 to 3 times a day. But here is where it gets fascinating. You make them work for it, even just a little. Puzzle feeders are revolutionary tools. These are contraptions that require your cat to bat, paw, or solve a problem to retrieve their dinner. You can purchase them or construct simple versions. Kibble inside a muffin tin obscured by tennis balls, dry food inside a cardboard box with holes punched in it, or even just scattering their rations across the floor so they must forage for individual bites. The results are striking. A study from the University of California discovered that cats who worked for their meals displayed lowered anxiety, reduced obesity rates, fewer behavioral issues, and heightened mental acuity. They are utilizing their brains, engaging their predatory drive, and earning their calories. It converts feeding from a passive event into a stimulating activity. I applied this method with my cat Oliver, who had ballooned to 18 pounds on an all-you-can-eat regimen. I transitioned to 3 scheduled meals daily, with breakfast and lunch served via puzzle toys. Within 6 months, he had dropped 4 pounds, gradually and safely. But more crucially, his entire personality shifted. He became more dynamic, more involved, more sharp. The puzzle feeders gave him a vocation, a purpose. The hydration strategy that changes everything. But there is one more segment to this nutritional puzzle, and it links directly back to that initial modification we discussed, water. Because even with numerous water stations distributed across your house, many cats still fail to drink enough. Remember, a weak thirst drive is genetically hardwired into them. So, here is the tactic that revolutionized hydration for my cats. I make water undeniable, and I smuggle it into their diet wherever I can. Basic homemade bone broth, just chicken or fish simmered in water with zero seasoning, becomes a flavor booster they cannot refuse. I mix a tablespoon into their wet food, effectively forcing extra moisture into every serving. Ice cubes created from that same stock become treats on warm afternoons. Wet food itself becomes the primary staple of their diet rather than a sporadic luxury, and I add supplemental water to it, about a tablespoon per dish, gradually increased so they don't detect the change. And water fountains. Flowing water captivates many felines and stimulates drinking. My cat Luna totally disregarded stagnant water, but will spend 5 minutes sipping from her fountain. The outcomes of proper hydration are quantifiable and drastic. Veterinary studies indicate that cats ingesting sufficient water have significantly lower rates of urinary tract infections, kidney disease advancement, and crystal development in the bladder. Their fur becomes glossier, their stamina rises, and their general health metrics improve. One of my clients applied these hydration hacks with her 12-year-old cat, who suffered from recurring urinary tract infections, for infections in 2 years. After 3 months of multiple water bowls, broth supplements, wet food soup, and a fountain, the infection ceased entirely. It has been 2 years with zero UTIs. But here is what binds all of these wellness strategies together. The water revolution, the daily health check, the feeding transformation, the hydration hacks. They are all centered on one foundational pivot, moving from passive cat ownership to active, intentional cat guardianship. And that pivot is about to become even more significant when you comprehend the final piece of this puzzle. The communication revolution that changes everything. So here is the truth that nobody reveals when you welcome a cat into your life. You have been speaking the incorrect language this entire time, and your cat has been trying desperately, patiently, sometimes efficiently, to converse with you in theirs. But you keep missing it because you are translating everything through a human filter, or worse, through a dog filter. The single most transformative adjustment you can make for your cat's welfare isn't something you purchase, install, or schedule. It is something you cease doing. You stop imposing affection on your terms and start learning to dialogue on theirs. Here is what altered everything for me. I had a cat named Murphy, whom I adored deeply, but our dynamic was strained. I would reach out to stroke him, and sometimes he would purr and lean in, but other times he would slash at me, seemingly without a red flag. I assumed he was moody, volatile, maybe just kind of a jerk. Then I went to a feline behavior workshop, and the specialist showed us slow-motion video footage of cats being handled. And suddenly, I could see it. All the cues I had been totally disregarding. The tail beginning to flick slightly, the ears swiveling back just a few degrees, the skin on the spine rippling almost invisibly, the pupils widening. These weren't sudden mood swings. These were distinct, consistent warnings that the cat was hitting their tolerance limit. But because these signs are so nuanced, we completely overlook them. And then we act shocked when the cat suddenly strikes us. Let me teach you the actual dialect your cat has been speaking all along. When your cat slowly blinks at you, deliberately shuts their eyes, and opens them again, that isn't drowsiness. That is the feline equivalent of a kiss, of stating, "I trust you implicitly." Studies have actually validated this. Researchers discovered that cats are more prone to approach and interact positively with humans who slow blink at them. Attempt it right now with your cat. Slow blink at them. When your cat approaches you with their tail erect, specifically with a little hook at the tip, that is a warm salutation. When they headbutt you or rub their cheeks against you, they are marking you with scent glands, essentially claiming you as part of their tribe. It is a deeply significant behavior. But here is where most people get it wrong. When a cat rolls over and displays their belly, we interpret that the same way we would with a canine, as a request for belly rubs. It is not. In cats, exposing the abdomen is a signal of trust and vulnerability, but it is not an invitation to touch. When you reach for that stomach, you are often betraying that confidence, and that is when the scratching occurs. The cat wasn't being volatile. You just misread the transmission. Here is the revolutionary shift. Let your cat instigate contact. Offer your hand. Let them sniff it. Let them rub against it if they elect to. Do not immediately start petting. Wait for them to tell you they desire more interaction. And when you do pet them, focus on their signals. Are they leaning into your palm? Purring? Slow blinking? Continue. Is the tail beginning to lash? Are the ears pinning back? Stop. Give them room. After I mastered this language and began honoring Murphy's signals, our connection transformed entirely. He went from a temperamental cat, whom I could touch for maybe 30 seconds, to a cat who would hunt me down for 20-minute snuggle sessions. Nothing about Murphy changed. I changed. I learned his tone. I respected his boundaries. And in exchange, he trusted me more, relaxed around me more, and actually sought out more physical love because he knew I would respect his stop signs. This might sound like you are surrendering control or that you will receive less affection from your cat. The inverse occurs. When cats feel they have autonomy, when their communication is grasped and honored, when they can trust that no means no, they become drastically more affectionate and bonded. It is the same principle we discussed with quiet time. The paradox that giving your cat control actually fortifies your connection. The compound effect, how everything connects. So let's step back and survey what we have actually constructed here. Because all 10 of these changes aren't isolated tricks. They are interlinked components of a total approach to feline wellness. You began with multiple water stations, giving your cat the hydration base their biology demands. You added vertical territory, meeting their need for three-dimensional space and safety. You built scent sanctuaries, respecting their powerful olfactory universe. These three changes established the physical foundation. Then you built upon that with predictable routines, giving your cat emotional safety. You added proper interactive play, fulfilling their deep predatory drives. You established quiet zones, respecting their need for unbroken rest. These three changes created the emotional enrichment layer. Then you safeguarded your investment with daily health vigilance, catching issues early when they are most curable. You revolutionized their nutrition, making food both healthy and enriching. You maximized their hydration through inventive tactics. These three changes constructed the health protection layer. And finally, you learned their language, respecting their communication and autonomy, which amplifies every single other change because now you are collaborating with your cat, not forcing solutions upon them. Here is what this looks like over time. In the initial week or two, your cat will be inquisitive. They will investigate the new water bowls, scout the vertical paths, show interest in the puzzle toys. In the first month, you will start witnessing behavioral shifts, better sleep, more confidence, lowered stress habits, more willingness to engage. By month 3, the transformation solidifies. Your cat's weight normalizes if they were heavy. Their coat becomes visibly healthier. Their energy levels level out. And by 6 months and beyond, you are not living with the same cat anymore. You are living with the cat they were always designed to be. The research supports this. Veterinary studies on environmental enrichment demonstrate that cats living in enriched settings live on average 20 to 30% longer than cats in non-enriched settings. We are talking about potentially 3 to 5 extra years of life. But it isn't just quantity. It is quality. These are years where your cat is athletic, engaged, healthy, and genuinely flourishing. I want to tell you about my cat Luna one more time. When I adopted her at age 3, she was nervous, overweight, had chronic urinary problems, and barely interacted with me. I implemented these changes gradually over 4 months. Today, at age 10, she is at a healthy weight, hasn't had a urinary infection in 6 years, greets me at the door with a trill, engages in play daily, and sleeps peacefully in her elevated perch. Her vet calls her a geriatric kitten because her health stats are incredible for her age. That metamorphosis didn't require pricey products or a massive time investment. It required understanding, intention, and respect for what cats actually require. Your journey starts right now. So here is what I want you to do. Don't try to execute all 10 changes at once. That is overwhelming. Pick one, just one, the one that resonated most with you or addresses your cat's biggest current hurdle. Maybe it is setting up multiple water stations this afternoon. Maybe it is committing to a consistent feeding schedule starting tomorrow. Maybe it is spending 15 minutes this evening on true interactive play. Maybe it is simply starting to pay attention during petting sessions, learning to read your cat's signals. Start there. Master that one change. Watch how your cat responds, then add another. Build this gradually, sustainably, in a way that becomes part of your natural rhythm rather than a chore. And I genuinely want to hear from you. In the comments, tell me which change you are going to implement first. What was the biggest revelation for you? What surprised you most? I read every comment and respond to as many as I can because this community of people who genuinely want to give their cats the best possible life. That is what Meow Range is all about. If this information added value to your life and your cat's life, hit that like button. Share this with a friend who has cats. Because every cat deserves an owner who understands them, and every owner deserves to experience the profound bond that comes from truly connecting with their cat. And if you want to keep diving deep into the fascinating world of feline behavior, health, and well-being, if you want weekly conversations like this, where we explore what science and real-world experience teach us about making our cats' lives extraordinary, subscribe to Meow Range. We are here every week unpacking another aspect of the incredible creatures we share our homes with. Your cats are lucky to have you. The fact that you watched this entire conversation, that you care enough to learn and improve, that already makes you an exceptional cat guardian. Until next time, give your cats an extra slow blink from me. They will know what it means, and so will you now.